Welcome up, my friends, to sunny Portugal, where we're in the early evening. The sun is going down. It's beautiful here, very hot. But I've actually found with Portugal, actually, in the evenings, maybe it's because it's beginning of September, that it's actually quite cool in the evenings. They don't have any air conditioning in the villa we're staying in. And I was quite concerned about that, but actually it's been absolutely fine. But anyway, on to the business. I'm here to talk, we'll give you information on the second episode of my song chats about the songs that are going on the first of the Lookout mini records. Now, in episode 1, I rambled on endlessly about the first song, Alone With You, but now I want to talk to you about probably one of the more unusual songs out of the whole of this collection of these 20 songs that are going on this collection of 3 albums. It is called Sweet Smell of Success. Now, when I first played this to Dave, he was quite taken aback but really excited. I think it's because it contains elements of a lot of the things that Dave really loves and perhaps didn't think I had a passion for as well. Now, part of my dad's sort of education that he gave me about music when I was a young person was, like I said, I've mentioned this many times on my radio show, on these kinds of podcasts I've done, you know. My dad was had a huge eclectic taste of music, in music and of music. And until recently, I didn't really kind of grasp it, but one of the sort of influences was the kind of Northern Soul thing, which kind of came about, I believe, from people finding American R&B and soul records in the bows of boats that came into Liverpool docks, and because they were used for ballast. And often there was American records that people in the UK hadn't heard before, and it became a bit of a movement. And it was R&B based, but not R&B as we know it today. A lot more sort of about guitar R&B, guitar music, you know. And I've always loved this style. I mean, my dad used to put on Wilson Pickett records and Joe Tex and people like this at home when we were kids, and I loved it. You know, it was very exciting music and not at all dissimilar to rock and roll. You know, it really isn't. It's exactly the same family. So I think that's kind of seeped into my consciousness over the years. And so Sweet Smell of Success is, it's actually 2 things. It's my, I guess, interpretation of the Northern Soul ethic in terms of its danceability and the use of the chord structures, but also it's my tipping of the cap to those brilliant one-off singles that David Bowie made, you know, Rebel Rebel, or you know, those kinds of things, and you know, those kinds of songs, mid-period Bowie, where it was pop music, simple chords, one riff that repeated, that kind of thing, and I absolutely love that period. And so I think as a sort of style, it's a bit of a mishmash. There is definitely some hard rock in there as well, but it's got horns all over it. It's very danceable, and I love singing it. So I'm really intrigued to know what you guys think about it. I mean, just before I come away on this holiday, I was working on the track, and me and Dave put a sax solo on it. I mean, and of course Dave's a supremely brilliant sax player, but also the drum track. And I forgot to mention on Alone With You, in the last discussion about Alone With You, what a fantastic rhythm track it is, really, you know, specifically from Chris Blandon and from Matt Eldridge, the drummer. You know, they put in such brilliant work on this album, and every time I throw up a track and I'm listening just to the bass and drums, it's really exciting. I think Matt's an incredibly exciting drummer, and Chris is a brilliant bass player. So all things combined, I think it's probably one of the more unusual songs. I think it people might go, oh, wonder what this is all about, but I hope that you get the energy, because it's about the energy. Now, in terms of the lyric, it is a discussion on I guess modernity and the wealth, and how we value wealth, because one of my favorite phrases of recent years is that we know the price of everything, but the value of nothing. And that intrigues me, that is, because I get bored to death of hearing people just talking about money all the time. It seems that the modern world, it's all about that stuff. It's not about whether skills are involved in getting that money. It's just about getting the money no matter what. And it seems to be a modern, I think it's a modern problem. But anyway, this is my tongue-in-cheek take on that, this idea that wearing the right clothes, having the right hat, wearing the right shoes, being in the right company, being in the right place can replace talent, can replace a work ethic. It's about being that kind of, I don't know, kind of dynamic personality. Now, some would say being that kind of person is a skill in itself. Well, maybe. But, I don't know. my feeling is it probably isn't. But I do go back to those, those songs of the 60s as well, things like, dedicated follower of fashion. I don't think, more things change, the more they stay the same. There's always those people that think they can somehow sidestep or take a shortcut by wearing the right coat, that sort of thing. So anyway, it's a fun tune. I really like it. I'm really pleased with it. I think it's one of those tracks that from the very moment I wrote it, I thought, I'm onto something here. And I really hope you agree. So yeah, that's Sweet Smell of Success. See you on episode 3.